but it's still pretty bad. This is like bad stuff, dude. This is no good. Okay, so Neera Tanden, who was just nominated or is going to be nominated by Joe Biden for the Office of Management and Budget or whatever, um, punched, right? Punched a journalist for asking Hillary Clinton about the Iraq War. So here's a New York Times article. This is from April 15th, 2009, and the situation that I'm going to read is from 2008, all right? So, in 2008, Neera Tanden, then a top aide on Hillary Clinton's first presidential campaign, accompanied Mrs. Clinton to what was expected to be an easy interview at the Center for American Progress, the influential group founded by top Clinton aides. But Faiz Shakir, who, by the way, was the campaign manager for Bernie Sanders in 2020, the chief editor of the think tank's Think Progress website, asked Mrs. Clinton a question about the Iraq War, an issue dogging her candidacy because she had supported it. Mrs. Tanden responded by circling back to Mr. Shakir after the interview and, according to a person in the room, punching him in the chest. What? I didn't slug him, I pushed him, a still angry Mrs. Tanden corrected in a recent interview. But again, like, you can read the rest of this article yourself. But, right, the idea, right, that this is a person that we're, like, this is a progressive? This is someone who's a president of a progressive think. What? They punched a journalist for asking a presidential candidate about the Iraq War. That's as far as I'm concerned, that's disqualifying. As far as I'm concerned, you should be nowhere near public service at that point. You literally assaulted a journalist for asking a question about a war that at the time in 2008 was still very much so in like the heat of it, right? Like, people were still very against the war. Now at this point, the war is just part of American culture. People don't even know we're at war. If you ask a majority, that's why you have Trump supporters out there that say no more wars, because they don't even know that there's still wars going on. But in 2008, people, I think, had a decent idea that there was like a lot of illegal wars going on. So the idea that you would punch a journalist for asking a question about the Iraq War, and then this person's going to have the audacity to call themselves progressive? What? What? But I've got some other stuff here that I want to talk about. So here's an example of Neera Tanden defending the mechanisms behind which tanked the Labor's efficacy in the 2019 general election in the United Kingdom. She did this epic tweet where she was signing on about a letter, concerns for anti-Semitism. As an American, I don't even live in this country, but I'm so concerned about the anti-Semitism that this letter has been written by so many I admire, including John blah 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 blah. Labor's anti-Semitism problem should have been rooted out long ago. She shared this dumbass fucking garbage, right? This person's not a progressive, this person's garbage, right? So, as Brianna Joy Gray on Twitter loves to point out, as COVID cases spike, Joe Biden hires Neera Tanden, who questioned CDC recommendations not to congregate in large groups and pushed in-person voting in March. So do you remember in March when the Joe Biden campaign, by the way, Simone Sanders, who also did this, was also nominated to a position by Joe Biden, right? Or at least is going to be nominated, whatever the technical thing is. They both were COVID deniers up until the month of May. These people didn't believe in coronavirus until May. In March, they didn't believe in coronavirus. So, in March, Brianna Joy Gray, who at that time was Bernie Sanders' press secretary, said on Twitter, Simone Sanders just said on CNN with Chris Cuomo that the CDC said it's safe to vote on Tuesday. That is wrong. So again, I actually covered that on my channel. You can go back and watch the video. And then Neera Tanden sarcastically says, is the Sanders campaign telling people not to vote? Again, do you remember when there was this big push for mail-in votes during the primary, and the Biden campaign was like, no mail-ins, no, mail-ins are bad, mail-ins are evil, they're bad, they're terrible, we gotta vote in person, no more mail-ins are evil. Remember that? When the DNC threatened states saying if you postpone your primary, we're going to remove delegates from you and make you less influential in the primary process. Do you remember that? Joe Biden was on that team that said, no, mail-in ballots are bad. A couple months later, all of a sudden, mail-in ballots are good. Isn't that interesting? All of a sudden, when now you're going up against Donald Trump, you love mail-in ballots. In-person voting is evil now, right? But back in March, when you conveniently didn't believe in germs, at that point, who cared, right? But yeah, this is a progressive, apparently. So Sam Cedar put out a really good tweet, right? I love this one. Because what does everyone hate about Donald Trump, right? If you ask random liberals, oh, he tweets too much. Oh, Donald Trump is on Twitter, right? Donald Trump sucks because he tweets all the time. Well, this is interesting. Fun fact, since 2009, when he joined, Donald Trump has tweeted 58,000 times. Since 2010, when she joined, Neera Tanden has tweeted 87,000 times. But I thought Twitter was the problem. I thought being a disgusting, grotesque, evil son of a bitch on Twitter was the problem. But I guess not when it comes to Neera Tanden. So I got some other stuff here. So on the day that white supremacists murdered a protester on August 12th, 2017, this is what Neera Tanden had to say. White supremacists running through the streets? Well, I'm more concerned about the alt-left, right? Have you criticized those on the alt-left who want to join with the fascists? There are plenty of ways to find them. What? Right. When these people, these tiki torch-bearing motherfuckers, were murdering a protester, she was more concerned with the alt-left. This is someone who identifies as progressive, by the way. So here's another example of Neera Tanden in January. By the way, remember when she outed a sexual harassment victim at her own company, by the way? Remember that? The Center for American Progress staff was shocked after Neera Tanden named the anonymous harassment victim in an all-staff meeting. Isn't that interesting, right? So in January of 2020, when Elizabeth Warren said that Bernie Sanders said that Elizabeth Warren could never be president because she's a woman, she tweeted out, "Believe women, unless it doesn't work for your political ambition," apparently. She was comparing the idea that, women are, assaulted in the workplace or raped in the workplace, right? She is comparing that to a political assassination attempt by Elizabeth Warren that failed, right? That's what she is comparing that to. Reminder, just 2 years ago, she outed a sexual harassment victim at her own company, all right? So this is the same person that we're talking about. And then this is what she said, just, conveniently a couple months later, when Tara Reid was trying to make the rounds. Hey, Joe Biden's bad. Hey, Joe Biden raped me. All of a sudden, just a reminder, the idea that an accusation is prima facie evidence of guilt is what put many black men in jail, or worse, in the South. Joan Walsh's piece stood the test of time. That much is clear. So, believe women, unless it doesn't work for your ambition, apparently. Neera Tanden said. And isn't it interesting that I've got all these examples of Neera Tanden saying horrendous garbage, right? That's not the same thing. Okay, so isn't it weird that I've got all of these examples of Neera Tanden saying just absolute horrendous garbage? Here's Neera Tanden in the year 2010 saying, "Oh, Social Security? Well, Social Security. I'm not a huge fan of Social Security. Let's get rid of it."
More balanced approach on budgets, where they've looked at taxes as well as reforming programs and cutting programs. And so I think that's the approach the American people are supporting.
There's a viewer here who wants you to take us deep.
I feel like Neera Tanden, for whatever reason, especially 2010, Neera Tanden reminds me of Julia Louis-Dreyfus a little bit, and it makes me uncomfortable. Does anyone else have that same reaction? It makes me a little uncomfortable. Just throwing that out there.
Deeper into entitlements by Twitter. Ms. Tanden, do you know what the president means when he says entitlements are on the table? Any specifics and anything you would endorse?
Yeah, so there are a range of entitlements that, I think when we're talking about entitlements, we're talking about Medicare, Social Security, Medicaid. These are programs that people receive support because of the status that they have. So when after 65, you get funding from Social Security and Medicare. Actually, it's grown.
The entitlements. Aren't those people that paid into Social Security for 65? They're so entitled. Aren't they just the most entitled little babies? Yeah, they paid our taxes for 60 years. Look how entitled they are. This is what she thinks. This is someone who they're trying to tell us is progressive. Medicare? Oh, you oldies. Why are you so entitled? Sure, you paid taxes for your entire working life, and now you want to enjoy the benefits that those taxes paid for, but we gotta cut them because you're so entitled. Disgusting.
It's getting older for Social Security, but
disgusting.
And the president has $300 billion in his budget in cuts in Medicare. That comes on top of cuts in Medicare from the Affordable Care Act. So he has put specific cuts in the budget already.
So this is her going on television saying Social Security, a Democrat, let's get rid of it. Remember, Joe Biden was on that too. Do you want to know, by the way, who stopped the Obama administration? Mostly who stopped them from cutting Social Security? Bernie Sanders. In 2013, Bernie Sanders organized a lot, right? In 2012, actually, also, he was floating that someone should primary Barack Obama because Barack Obama was such a disappointment. In 2013, he did a bunch of public events to try to pressure the Obama administration publicly to not cut Social Security. This was on their agenda. A Democrat was like, fuck Social Security. They're entitled. They're entitled. All those retirees that paid taxes to our government for 50 years, they're entitled. Entitled little babies they are. Let's get rid of their health care. Let's get rid of their money. Let's get rid of their retirement fund because they're so entitled. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. But this is someone who they're telling us this is progressive. Yeah. She's a woman. Fuck yeah, buddy. Is because her being a woman, does that make her entitled to the label of progressive? Interesting. Really makes you think. But that's Neera Tanden. I'll be doing a lot more hit pieces on Neera Tanden very soon, and I might do some of these in more detail pretty soon. But fuck this. Fuck that. This is like as far as my personal frustration goes. Like, maybe I'll do Simone Sanders and Rahm Emanuel over the next couple days too. But Neera Tanden, Jesus Christ, what a fucking loser, right? I didn't really know that much about Neera Tanden until maybe late 2018, early 2019 when the primaries were starting up this time around. And it's like every time I saw a tweet from her, it was a different opinion. Again, believe women unless it doesn't work for your political ambition. And then a couple of months later, oh, all the women coming out against Joe Biden, they're wrong, they're lying, they're wrong. Oh, by the way, I just outed a sexual harassment victim at my own company, but believe women. Oh, but you gotta believe women. Put on the hat, the Women's March, you gotta believe them. Except, when they work for my company, then I can just make fun of them in public. Then that's fine. Disgusting. It's just, I don't know, man. I don't know. Anyone who supports Neera Tanden, I'm sorry, but that's cancel culture thing. I will support canceling anybody that is in favor of Neera Tanden for anything other than jail, as far as I'm concerned.